bring in Niall Stanage of The Hill for more perspective on this. Niall, this trip was criticized even before it happened. How does the president look now that it's over?
I don't think he looks particularly great, honestly, Natasha. And that's not to say that the trip didn't have some upsides to it. But the problem, as I see it, is the upsides are kind of vague and nebulous and may happen in the future. And the downsides are very immediate and very powerful. None more so than that fist bump seen literally around the world with MBS of Saudi Arabia. That's a real problem. And there were also disagreements over, for example, the American attitude to the Iran nuclear deal, a difference of opinion there between Mr. Biden and the Israeli prime minister. So we see these specific concrete downsides and rather nebulous upsides. I think that's the problem.
Well, this visit itself will likely not cause gas prices to go down, right? But do you think it will at least offer a reset for foreign relations?
Well, that's the hope. That is the argument that President Biden and his administration made. They are contending that relations, not just with Saudi Arabia, but with the OPEC nations generally, will help ease the pain at the pump that Americans are experiencing right now. Now, there are challenges there in the sense that they don't really have a very concrete commitment from those OPEC nations, and there is some debate about exactly how much difference that would make. Now, on the bright side, as we know, gas prices have come down a little bit from their peak, but still very high, very elevated by historic levels.
Yeah, speaking of gas prices, are there any other viable foreign options relating to high oil prices?
Well, there are other foreign options, but really a lot of the inflation on gas prices is a product of the geopolitical situation, specifically Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That's causing obvious massive disruption, but it's also causing some speculation about the future price of oil. And that in itself is as much of a contributory factor to the prices we're seeing at the pump as the basics of supply and demand. So it's actually quite a complicated issue, and not one where the US can just say, well, if Saudi Arabia isn't going to, produce it, let's go to Venezuela. It's not really as simple as that.
The president said we cannot leave a vacuum to be filled by China, Russia, or Iran. What exactly does he mean by this, and how big of a threat are those nations right now?
So the nature of the threat varies between those nations, but China in the medium to long term is certainly considered the most serious rival to the United States primacy in the world. China is expanding its influence generally around the globe, but it has cozied up to the Saudis. And of course, the government in China is not going to be raising any kind of human rights concerns, really, that would complicate its relationship with Saudi Arabia. Now, Russia is in a different situation. Russia is using its links with the Saudis to try to ameliorate some of the sanctions that it faces from the US and the West. But there are challenges there, and that was the biggest picture part of President Biden's trip, that it was intended to really reassert American influence in the region.
All right, Niall Stanage, as always, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.